Welcome back to another episode of The Fool's Journey, a series of tarot study by the Third Eye of Providence. Thank you guys for checking out this content. If this is the first video in the series you're watching, make sure to go back and check out the previous episodes. We started with the card number 0, the Fool, and each day in January we are walking through and learning the cards of the tarot. So you can actually hit the save button on this playlist and be able to add that to your library and catch up with these episodes whenever you can. If you hit the subscribe button, you'll get a notification every day when I post a new video in January, and you'll be able to follow along. I am using the Robert Hansen's Tarot to study this because we can use this deck to read in reversals. And on episode 10, we are in card number 9, the Hermit. I'm also comparing the artwork in this tarot to the twin tarot, which shows the positive light aspect of the Hermit. And it also shows the negative shadow aspect of the Hermit as well. We're going to go into the Complete Book of Tarot, a comprehensive guide by Anthony Lewis. And I will show you the book version of the Hermit as well, so we can get a comparative in the art across many iterations. So this would be, according to them, what the Hermit would look like. And the Hermit card, number 9 in the deck, is connected to the search for meaning. And the astrology associated with the Hermit card is Virgo. In the constellation, this would be represented as the Virgin. It's an earth sign ruled by Mercury. Now, the archetypes and myths associated with the Hermit card are the sage, the philosopher, the wise old man, Jedi Master Yoda, who in Hebrew would be considered Yod, which is obviously very powerful. And this is also a card that's associated with Buddha. And I personally think of this card as Gandalf going out on his journey there to the Shire. So, in traditions of the Tarot, going back to 1888, in Mather's deck, you would associate this card in a reading to represent prudence, caution, and deliberation. In the negative aspect, or in reverse in that deck, you would see it as fear, overprudence, or reservation. Now, in the Rider-Waite, this card is associated in the upright in a reading with roguery, circumspection, corruption, and prudence. In the reverse, it would represent concealment, disguise, fear, and unreasoned caution. In the Order of the Golden Dawn, this card in a reading is going to represent active pursuit of divine inspiration and wisdom from above. So, positive polarity light aspects associated with the Hermit are introspection, meditation, spiritual retreat, careful attention, solitude, maturity, self-possession, wisdom of experience, watchfulness, discernment, patient pursuit of knowledge, quiet contemplation, spiritual illumination, philosophical insights, the search for meaning, and replenishment of the soul. In the shadow, negative polarity aspects of the Hermit, this card would represent excessive caution, a lack of wisdom, imprudence, narcissism, timidity, social isolation, alienation, withdrawal, loneliness, failure to learn from experience, and cutting oneself off from the support of others. Yeah, definitely see that in that card. So, the Hermit in the upright indicates a need to spend time far from the madding crowd. Now is the time to collect your thoughts and regroup your focus. A period of solitude and contemplation is in order. In this modern age of technology, someone quipped that meditation provides the answers you cannot find on Google. You have been through a lot, and the time has come to wait and watch. An attitude of patient circumspection allows you to put matters in perspective and learn from your experience. You might consider reading Eckhart Tolle's book, The Power of Now. That is so interesting because I do have I do have a lot of interest in Eckhart Tolle's work. So, in the reverse, this Hermit card suggests that you are caught up in the hustle and bustle of daily life and you are unable to see clearly where you are headed. Consider taking some time off and allowing yourself space to meditate and to get back on track. A great philosopher once commented that the unexamined life is not worth living. There is a lot of wisdom to be gleaned from your experience if only you take the time to do so. A little distance is what you need to put matters into perspective. Wow. So this is a very, very deep card, of course. We're getting into the Hermit, Hermeticism. Now, let me show you some of the symbolism in the card. There is so much. This card is very deep. I probably won't even be able to touch on half of it, but let me see what I can do. Traditionally, we're going to see here in the Hermit card a person who I would say looks like a wizard, right? It's got the giant beard, has got the robes, and has kind of a cloak on as well. Has a staff, might be a wand, but let's just call it a staff, and they have this lantern that they are using to illuminate the path ahead. Most importantly, you will see that this hermit looks over a mountaintop, and typically the mountaintop with the snow, this is going to represent, I want to say it has something to do with accomplishment, right? This is a lot of work and a lot of, I would say, just experience, right? The snowy mountaintops in the distance represent how much this person has overcome to get to where they are. And typically, it will tell you a lot about the person you're reading for with this card if they interpret this person as coming or going, right? Like, this could be somebody who's embarking out on a journey most times, but sometimes in a reading, it might also mean to me that this is a person who's well into the journey. So it's just something to think about is, how this is interpreted basically by the other cards around it. Since this is a card of stillness and introspection, if there are other cards around it that are indicating action, I would say that this is something that needs to be done for the person. And then vice versa. If it's just that there's a lot of other cards that are in meditative or focused like that, then I could say that this person has been well into doing this work for themselves. So I definitely have to point out, I don't see it. Oh, yes, it is in this card. Okay. So the hermit is using a lantern to light their way, and the lantern includes the six-pointed star. This is known as the Star of David, but it also is symbolic of representation of the principle of as above, so below, which one triangle going one direction, one going the other. And this is to symbolize spiritual guidance leading the way. The hermit is, if you can see, not actually looking out past the light, it's looking at the light. The light is guiding the way for them. And this is their will and their desire to find this enlightenment. and they've left behind most of their earthly goods. Unlike with the Fool, you don't see a pack, you don't see a dog. It's a very solo journey in this particular card. Something you can see here in this is there is a little bit of a town down here. It's hard to see it. It's a town. There's something that, this hermit has had to leave behind. Another thing I would like to point out is the moon. This is a person who's gone out at night. So this is maybe somebody who has to do their spiritual work at night, away from other people, away from the distractions. And I also want to say that this card is showing me that there is something that this person is either doing moon rituals or practicing with the moon or keeping track of something with moon cycles and the constellation. So this is somebody maybe who's researching astrology and is really interested in how these things affect the psyche and the spirituality with that as well. Going into the shadow aspect, you'll see that the moon is in a totally different phase, right? So we go from the full moon to, I want to say, don't quote me on that, it might be the waning moon, and that this person is turned away from the path. They have squirreled into the cave, and they've put down their passion, they put down the will, and they are no longer using the light to guide them. They are actually just sitting and using the light as sort of a distraction from going out into the journey. Now, I think when we saw in this card talking about isolation, and there's a negative aspect to that. The positive aspect of isolation is you're using this positively to meditate, to seek within, to hear your inner truth. And this negative would be that you are isolating to kind of go dwelling more into the dark of whatever this journey is for yourself. You're not looking toward the light. So this would be a negative aspect of the Hermit card, is that sometimes people use spirituality as a way to separate themselves from others, and it does have an egoic purpose. It serves the ego when we start to use spirituality to think of ourselves as better than others or different. And a lot of people get into spirituality because they do not feel like they are part of something greater than themselves, and they want to be. So those are some of the negative aspects, and those are the comparisons between the two cards. You can see very clearly. And there may have been some other stuff I missed about the connections with this card, especially with Hermeticism, a lot of the other symbolism of what the Hermit represents. But if you want to share something in the comments, I absolutely do appreciate that. And it helps not just me, it helps everyone to learn deeper and have more knowledge and of the symbolism of these cards so that we can all be reading them more accurately. Hopefully this has helped you guys, and make sure to, like I said, hit the like and subscribe. If you know anybody who's interested in studying the tarot, please make sure to share this content with them, and thank you guys for your support.